Hi everyone, it's Jeff from Transient Specialists. Thanks for joining us today. Today we're going to be spending some time on the EM Test NX5 test system. We'll start by going over a little bit about the different models. Then we'll spend some time on the connections in the front and the back. And finally, we'll go ahead and we'll get the system powered up and take a look at the front panel display. This video is meant to supplement a previous video we did, which provides a more basic overview of the NX5. The EM Test NX5 test platform can be configured with different modules to meet specific test requirements. Most often, it is configured for combination wave surge to 5 kV, EFT to 5.5 kV, and capabilities for power fail testing. Let's go ahead now. Let's take a brief look at the documentation, which provides a good overview of the different models. Now we're taking a look at the data sheet, which shows the different models. As you can see on the top half of the page, in the top two boxes, we have the 300 volt models. In the two boxes below that, we have the 400 volt models. As is shown at the green boxes along the top, the left two boxes are configured to handle a maximum of 16 amps of current, and on the right, 32 amps. Today, we'll be spending time on the compact NX5 BSP-1-300-16, and we'll also take a look at the compact NX5 BSP-1-400-16. If we take a look at these units and corresponding model numbers, each letter in the beginning represents different testing capabilities. For the BSP-1-300-16, the unit is configured for burst, surge, as well as power fail. If we go ahead and take a look at a unit with just capabilities for surge, it only has S-1-300-16. As you can see, these units can be configured in many different ways. It is important to consider what testing capabilities are needed prior to ordering. Let's go ahead now and take a look at two different models. Now we're taking a look at the EM Test NX5 BSP-1-300-16 on the left, and the EM Test NX5 BSP-1-400-16 on the right. When we're comparing these two units, the difference is going to be in the capabilities of the coupling-decoupling network. The first thing you'll notice is that the 400 volt model on the right, the BSP-1-400-16, is larger. This will also be the case with units that are configured to handle up to 32 amps. The most common model is the model on the left, the NX5 BSP-1-300-16. This unit covers the most common transient immunity test to IEC 61000-4-4 and IEC 61000-4-5, as well as offering capabilities for IEC 61000-4-11 with external equipment. It's the most compact and can be used with the 32 amp coupling NX7 without any impact on the capabilities of the CDN. To the right of that, we have the NX5 BSP-1-400-16. This unit has the same capabilities, but the CDN can handle up to 400 volts as opposed to 300 volts. This allows for higher voltage single-phase equipment to be tested without the need for an external CDN. This unit can also be used with higher powered CDNs from EM Test, which allow for testing up to 125 amps, 690 volts. The 400 volt model can be used with these couplers without any decrease in the voltage or current capabilities of the couplers. The model, which we don't have currently shown, is the NX5 BSP-1-300-32. This model offers testing capabilities up to 32 amps for single-phase EUT. This would allow for testing to be conducted up to 32 amps without an external CDN. It can also be used with lower power 3-phase CDNs from EM Test without any issues. The different models and corresponding CDNs lend themselves better to certain applications. Let's go ahead now and let's spend some time on the front panel display. Now we're taking a look at the front of the NX5. Let's go ahead and let's start from the left and let's work our way right. In the upper left hand corner we have the active LED. In the lower left, the USB connection. Next to that we have our touchscreen display. As we continue right, we have the test on button at the top. This button needs to be pressed prior to conducting testing to allow for the test to be run. Below that, we have our adjustment knob, back, start or pause, as well as our stop button. As we continue right, we have the voltage and current monitor connections, and below that, we have the trigger. Next to that, we have the burst output, which is typically connected to a capacitive coupling clamp or external 3-phase CDN. On the right side of the unit, we have the coupling path LEDs and the EUT test supply connections. These will be connected to the equipment under test. Finally, all the way on the right, we have the ground reference connections. Let's go ahead now, let's get the unit turned around and let's take a look at the back. Alright, now we're taking a look at the back of the system. Starting in the lower left corner, we have the reference earth connection. Next to that, the EUT supply input, which will be connected to the power going to the equipment under test. As we continue right, we have our surge direct output. Taking a look at the right side of the equipment now, we have the main switch and the mains input for the NX5. Next to that, we have a series of connections for the monitoring of the voltage and current, DC output, EUT1 and EUT2, as well as our external trigger. Below that, we have our sync connections. Next to that, we have our system link in, and below that, our system link out. Finally, all the way on the right, we have the USB-A, USB-B, Ethernet, and Optolink connections. For additional information on all the connections, go ahead and take a look at the user manual starting on page 36, which I'll put a link for in the description below. Let's go ahead now, let's get the unit powered up and take a look at the display. Let's go ahead now and let's spend some time on the different ways the equipment under test can be connected to the coupler of the EM Test NX5. This is most commonly done for our input using a standard NEMA style mains connector right there, connected to our safety banana plugs right here, which will go to the back on our input for the coupler in the NX5. For the front of the unit going towards the equipment under test, EM Test has provided an adapter just like that with a standard NEMA style plug, and then that just connects to the test supply on the EM Test NX5. However, this adapter is limited to a maximum of 125 volts AC, 20 amps, with a maximum surge voltage of 4,000 volts. If the connection to the EUT isn't a standard socket or exceeds the limit of the adapter, safety banana plugs can be used directly from the front of the system towards the equipment under test. As with all testing, the setup can differ dramatically based on the equipment under test and how testing is being conducted. We recommend confirming the setup prior to conducting testing, ensuring that there's no damage to the EM Test NX5. Let's go ahead now, let's get the unit powered up and let's take a look at the display. Now we're taking a look at the front panel display of the NX5, and as you can see, we're on the starting menu. Here we have options for burst and surge testing, as well as magnetic field and power fail. Magnetic field testing and power fail will typically require external equipment to be used with our NX5. Taking a look now, in the upper left-hand corner, we have the menu drop-down. If we go ahead and we select that, this will give us options for Test Link, Manager, Reports, EUT, Setup, and all the way at the bottom, Information. EUT and Setup will be the most commonly used. Let's go ahead and let's take a look at EUT. This menu is going to allow for the adjusting of power criteria, and it includes sections for test, supply, and limit. In the upper right hand corner, there's a schematic icon. If we go ahead and select that, it just provides a brief diagram. Let's go ahead and close the schematic, and let's go back to our drop-down menu. Now, if we go ahead and select Setup in our drop-down menu, it will take us to our Setup menu where we have two sections, one for General and the other for Equipment. Equipment is going to be especially important if external equipment is needed for testing. Typically, it's going to be a CDN. Taking a look at the bottom right, we have options for external couplers, and then on the far right, transformers. External couplers will include antennas, whereas transformers will be typically used for DIPS testing. Let's go ahead and let's select external couplers. And as you can see, no external couplers have been found or have been added. However, if you are looking to add a coupler, you can select the Add button on the right-hand side, and this will take us to our Add External Couplers pop-up menu, and then we can select the drop-down there, and we have options for coil, DCD, PCD, PCN, as well as other. We're not going to add any external couplers for today's video, so we're just going to go ahead and hit cancel and go back to our main menu. If we take a look now in the upper right hand corner, we have a question mark icon which provides additional information on the test system. Next to that, a device icon which will take us to the same EUT menu we looked at previously. And finally, all the way in the upper right corner, we have the home button which will take us back to our starting menu. Let's go ahead now and let's take a look at the burst menu. Now we're taking a look at the burst menu. All the test menus will have generally the same designs with quick start, standards, extended tests, as well as others if available. As you can imagine, the standards menu is based on IEC or pre-programmed test requirements, whereas quick start is more customized. Let's go ahead and let's select standards. Here you'll find the different pre-programmed test routines based on the underlying test requirements. Let's go ahead and let's select IEC 61000-4-4 for power testing. Now we're taking a look at our standards test menu. On the left, we have some different testing criteria, some of which has been blacked out and cannot be modified. In the middle, we have the level, repetition, polarity, as well as coupling at the bottom. If we want to go ahead and change our level, we can select the drop down right next to level, and there it gives us options for levels 1 through 4. Let's go ahead and let's just select level 3 for today. Now that we have our criteria entered and our EUT connected, once we're ready to start testing, we can select that test on button and hit the start or stop button to begin testing. Let's go ahead now and let's take a look at the surge menu. Now we're taking a look at the surge menu, and as you can see, we have different options for a quick start, standards, extended tests, as well as user tests. Let's go ahead and let's select quick start. As we mentioned previously, the Quick Start menu is going to have a lot of flexibility in modifying different testing criteria, which may not always be the case for the Standards Test menu. On the left, we have different criteria, including the voltage, which can be modified as it's shown in white. Let's go ahead and let's change the voltage to 1000 volts. To do that, select the voltage, and then we're going to go ahead and enter 1000 volts, and then select OK. Now you'll see that different voltage indicated on the display. If we take a look at the column on the right, we have polarity, synchronization, and then at the bottom, coupling. Let's go ahead and let's select coupling at the bottom. As you can see, we have L to N selected right now. We can also select L to P, N to P, or L plus N to PE, as well as all combinations. And then on the right, we also have HV COM. Let's go ahead and let's select N to PE, and let's remove L to N. Let's go ahead now and let's select OK. Now at the bottom, just below the IEC, you'll see that N to PE indicated. Once we're ready to start testing, we can go ahead and select that Test On button and hit the Start Stop as well. Additional information on the different menus and criteria can be found in the user manual, which I'll put a link for in the description below. Alright, that should complete the video today on the EM Test NX5. We began by going over a little bit about the test system and the different models. Then we moved to the connections as well as getting the system operational with our equipment under test. And finally, we spent some time on the front panel display. We hope this video has been useful, and please keep us in mind if you ever need to rent the EM Test NX5.